What's up, you slash JFMV763 here with another episode of the Libertarian Uncensored podcast, and where we look at the past 24 hours on the Libertarian Uncensored subreddit, and the post of the past 24 hours, and we'll just discuss them, as per usual. So first we have Know Your Enemy by Chi-Town 20, and he tweeted, and that was a link to a right post from r/progressive chat, and it's on a flagpole, it's a flyer on a flagpole. They got you fighting a culture war to stop you fighting a class war. I agree with that. That's why the culture war is very much to keep us the proles distracted from the elites. I would say I would agree with that. Yeah, don't agree with too much with Chi-Town, but that's something I would agree with. Next, we have child labor returns to the United States, a society moving reverse from WSWS.org by Chi-Town. That's WSWS's World Socialist website. So, I personally think as long as kids are willing to work, I think they should be able to. But I do think as long as they want to work, they think they should be able to. But I don't think they should be forced to work if they don't want to. Next, we have, has the Republican Party become the American Fascist Party? Yes, it's a cross post for the Ask a Liberal subreddit by Chi-Town, and of course they're going to say the Republicans are the fascist party. I'd say both the Republicans and the Democrats are the fascist party personally, but they only say that on Reddit, they only say that only the Republicans are fascist, never the Democrats. The Democrats can say whatever they want. They can say, "Oh, we got to mandate vaccines for everyone." It's not fascism. It's only fascism when the Republicans do it. I'd say they're both the fascist party if you ask me, but I don't really care. They're both gonna bully you. So that's just life. Next we have, yes, almost everyone should be a communist. Libs get so close but never quite make it. Also by Chi-Town. It's linked to a Twitter thread. Working class no college. Yeah, then it says it's all the working class should be we should be a communist, or people who do not own the means of. Yeah, I personally think if you want to be a communist, I think you should be a communist. But I just think communism is just going to lead to a lot of suffering, because it's real communism isn't tried yet. That's always the retort, and of course, that's the thing is, we always think we're going to get it perfect next time, but we never do. That's why I think I don't really care too much for capitalism, but that's how it is. Of course, suffering is going to be inevitable, but I think communism is probably the worst system. But if you want to be a communist, be a communist. Just don't try and force your values onto anyone else. That's my thing. The advantages are obvious. How China's BYD became the world's #1 EV maker for SCMP.com. Also by Chi-Town. That's from I think that's that's Chinese propaganda, but whatever. Post propaganda for whoever you want, I guess. That's my thing. If you want to post propaganda, you should be able to post propaganda. Yeah. So next we have, who is the pervert that allows us? The red-headed libertarian on Twitter, post by Vertice, and that's let's see what this is. This is a tweet right here. Girl powers with a guy has a God Over Gov shirt on his thing. And it's have all the crazy drag queens at the schools. Yeah, I don't think that's. Yeah, I think we really have to stop using schools to push ideology onto our kids, but that's kind of what they're used for. That's why I think I'm personally very much against the schooling system. I think we need to rework how we educate children. I think we should try and let them learn for themselves, not force them to learn stuff. I think the school very much forces them to learn, and when you kind of want to bake some ideology in there as well. So that's why I think you need to let the kids learn for themselves instead of forcing them to learn. Next we have Drag Shows, Kids, and Less Free Speech in Canada by Shittiest Disciple, and So he talks about how Krista Wong-Tam of the NDP in Canada wants to place a 100-meter safety zone to silence the effectiveness of free speech to protect activists in Canada may be rejected because they involve the minors. That's just kind of the safe space thing all over again. You just can't make the entire world your safe space. I think you should be able to do whatever you want, but you should always be able to protest and I think that's just kind of an unreasonable amount of safe space, I would say. I think you should be able to protest wherever you want, I would say, and this is kind of goes against the freedom to protest. Okay, so next we have U.S. government borrows Russian tactic to muzzle pro-Russian critics from Reason, and I posted that. I said, I think, it's interesting how they're the African People's Socialist Party, and the only one of the people who was defending them was Tucker Carlson. I think that's why he got fired today. So, see how that goes. And, yeah, I think if you want to work for a foreign government, or as long as you're not violating that, you should be able to. That's my thing. I think these guys probably were being paid by Russia, but, that's the thing is, Russia and China love to pay, like, BLM to spread divisive IDPO rhetoric, but the people don't care then. They're only caring now because this is critical of the Ukraine war. And that's important. I think if you want to work with Russia, you should be able to work with Russia, but as long as you don't violate the NAP. Go anti-woke, go broke. Another miserable failure of using bigotry as your central marketing message from thedailyDot.com by ptomps13. And let's see what this is. Brewery tap to make ultra-right beer backed out when they found out what it was. Yeah, you don't want to... I can see people trying to stay out of politics. Politics are really toxic right now. And they're probably going to be toxic for the foreseeable future, so, I can see that, That's the reasonable decision, I would say, if I was the owner of the brewery. Next, we have a post that's... It's a meme. I think that's a blushing face, sure, by Muvhugging Inc. And it says, Texas secedes, and the USA realizing that there's now a sovereign nation with desert oil and plenty of brown people. Yeah, that's probably how it's going to go down, sadly, China disowns ambassador's remarks questioning Ukrainian independence from BBC News by Ninja Lover. Yeah, the Chinese are always not going to say the best things. I think if Ukraine has the right to be independent, and sometimes you have to fight for that right, and you're seeing that right now. So I do support their right to fight for independence. I think the U.S. is kind of outside has an interest there, and that's why I don't support that much USAID or any USAID, I would say. But I definitely think the Ukrainians have a right to support the fight for independence, I would say, yes. So I do think that you shouldn't be questioning Ukraine's independence. If you want to question any country's independence, you should be able to. But I really don't think China has any noble intentions here. I would agree with Ninja Lover there. Next, we have two posts pretty much the same thing. Tucker Carlson out at Fox News and Tucker from CNN, and Tucker Carlson, that's by me, and then Tucker Carlson and Fox News part ways from NBC News by Rubber Stump Baby. And I think, Tucker Carlson, he was interesting. I like some of his stuff he really did, I think, buck the Republican Party for a good number of ways. Like, I really like some of his stuff on non-interventionism and against the U.S. security state. With that said, I think he was a little too pro-Trump for me. So, yeah, I'd say I think he was. I mean, I do think he was kind of saying as well, kind of like John Oliver. I think he was kind of like the John Oliver of the right, and Tucker Carlson is John Oliver is like Tucker Carlson of the left. So, I think he was okay. I guess I agree with some things he said. I didn't agree with other things he said. But, I think he was probably one of the better people on Fox, so, hopefully he'll probably find work elsewhere, probably, tons of things he can do. He can, Go to the Daily Wire, go to the Blaze, go to OWN, go to Newsmax, be independent like Joe Rogan, run for president. You don't know. So let's see what he does. Then we have how an ill-informed internet mob ruined a UVA student's life from Reason, and I posted that. And I said, good story on how the court of public opinion matters much more than the court of law these days. It's about how that UVA, the driver during the Charlottesville protest in the summer of 2020, which was like, she said, they were interpreted. She was interpreted saying good fucking speed bumps, but that's not what she said, and didn't hold up in the court of law. But now the accuser, she's according to Reason. Let's see what Reason says about the accusers and Anna Bryant. Let's see. Yeah, she is going. She's everywhere. She's on Ebony's Power 100. Got a Washington Post profile in 2021. Was featured on Instagram's official page in a Juneteenth post. And Bud Bettinger she's just kind of miserable, but it's life. And this story was published. Bettinger announced plans to file a lawsuit in University of Virginia. I would probably file a lawsuit, if I got caught in that. That's the thing, the court of public opinion is what matters, Just you have to manipulate the narrative to cancel people these days, it seems, and that's increasingly how it's going to go down, I think. Next, we have Don Lemon fired from CNN by that's a self-post by Sarah V's, and I another one going along with Tucker. And I think, Lemon, no one really cares. Tucker, people, I like Don Lemon. Tucker, people kind of like. Don Lemon was just kind of a circle jerk. They already had kind of mean skimming off the whole Nikki Haley controversy about, Nikki Haley's old. And, and she's not really that old, but she's old for political standards, and, that was just kind of mean to get him out, I think. No one really liked Don Lemon. He's just kind of like another Brian Stelter, no one really liked him either. Amazingly well-researched historical analysis of the Bengal famine. Churchill, a capitalist tyrant with a higher death count just doing regular capitalism than revolutionary freedom fighters Mao or Stalin. That's a YouTube video. It's posted by Chi-Town. Who's it by? Let's see, the Bengal famine. Winston Churchill. It's by Bad Empanada. And I think Churchill, he was good, but I do agree that a lot of the Western European countries did mismanage their Asian and African colonies back in the day. Probably, and probably all the other colonies as well, but most of the American colonies were independent by then, and I do think, if I don't think the system really did anything to do with it either, though. It was just kind of a chain of command issue, just kind of getting the word from the colonial capital to the colonial nation, So, I wouldn't blame Churchill too much for that. He had a lot of stuff going on too with the war, I think. So, when was the Bengal famine? I'll have to look that up. That was during the war. I think that's kind of 1943. Yeah, it's a bit. I'm not gonna say it's excusable, but it's a bit more like he did have other stuff on his plate at the time. I'd say. Next we have LAPD official arrested for alleged rape of a child under 14, not a drag queen, from ABC7.com by Chi-Town. Of course he's always gonna say, oh, they're all not drag queens, but there are probably a few drag queens that are there, but that's the thing. Just people just kind of just look for pedophilia as an excuse to attack people who might be their political opponents. I think they're all. I think people, political pedophiles are probably all over the political spectrum. That's the sad truth. I think hopefully we won't see it normalized soon, but we'll see what happens. We're not gonna see it normalized. That's my wish, because you're slowly trying to normalize it with maps. I'm sure Chi-Town will say, oh, it's okay if left wing do it because they're just a map. They're just acting on their irrational attraction. But a right wing person, that's a pedophile. I personally think they're all pedophiles. I don't like any of them. A 32-hour work week is long overdue. Bernie Sanders is calling for a reduction in the work week to 32 hours of full-time pay. This is what actual liberty looks like from Jacobin.com by Chi-Town. I used to be a Bernie guy. I think this is more of the stuff that I like from Bernie. But you can't just make everyone's work week 32 hours. You can't. That sometimes that might not produce food for everyone. That uh, might not allow everyone to live. I think people should work as many hours as they want, and I don't know if people should be forced to work 32 hours a week. I think I work how many work do I work currently? Well, I think I work like 20 hours a week. So yeah, I think that's fine too. But I think everyone should work the amount of what they want to work hours a week they want to work. So that's my thing. A major irony is that Tucker's separation from Fox may be the best thing that could happen to him in terms of his influence and impact. The sector of media growing most explosively to be independent platforms. Joe Rogan is vastly more influential than every MSNBC and CNN host from Glenn Glean world, and I agree with that. Yeah, it's like we talked about how Tucker probably he doesn't have Fox News holding back anymore, so I think he'll probably find something good for himself. He's already got a lot of money, so I think he'll be fine. In light of his 60-minute appearance in 60 Minutes last night, do you think Ray Epps is a Fed? Of course I say yeah because the media trying to convince people to be sympathetic for this guy. And he's like saying go into the Capitol, and I orchestrated it, and now no one really cares because the media's trying to sympathetically. Let's see what they say. 6 no to 4 yes. Yeah, that's pretty good for the subreddit. Of course they're gonna say no, but it's pretty close. I'd say so. That's good. I want to know why this wasn't bigger news when it happened. Must read from Crimea River. A healthy teen died from the complications of a vaginoplasty. When you don't let your grow, it makes the likelihood of complications a lot more prevalent. Puberty blockers are harmful from Sarah Higney. Sarah Higney, of course, is a trans person. And of course I always like the trans people who speak out against the gender-affirming surgery because, they always try to prevent, all the trans people support this. Not all the trans people support gender-affirming care or what it's marketed as. I think it's important to remember, yeah. I said I thought gender affirming care was lazy, but yeah. That's why they hate people who are like, there's no one people hate more than a member group who goes against that group's narrative, and I think that's why I really like people like Sarah Higney and Blair White, because I always like people going against the narrative, I would say. And then all the detransitioners as well, they're good. Meme Monday from LP Arizona on Twitter. It's a good meme. For I'm an anarchist, and it's never a guy. Cool, I'm also an anarchist. What do you have to achieve under anarchy? We just ask the government for UBI for all, as well as free healthcare and free housing. We also need the government to etc. And then the government guy goes, well, yeah, that's the thing with anarchists these days. They want the government to do anything, And that's kind of the irony, I guess. I also found some other good memes today from being libertarian where I posted this in my comment on this thread. They were, like, one guy's with the NPC goes, "What radicalizes you?" And the other guy's like, "No one. You're so far left, you become radical." And everyone was like, "Oh, the left can incite, the left is allowed to on Reddit. The left is pretty much allowed to incite violence as much as the ones, but the right isn't allowed to question anything. They always say, "Oh, I don't care for gender, for care." No, you can't say that. That's literally genocide. The left can call for any genocide it wants, but the right, that's just how it is sometimes, I guess. Everyone's held to these different standards. I guess, but it's the thing. Then we have not a single Sudan flag emoji on Twitter today. SMH report guys from the red-haired libertarian on Twitter, and I said the TV and the NY Times didn't say to care about Sudan, except for the mid 2000s when Darfur was all the rage. And when you think about social media, it's pretty much Simon Says when it comes to the narratives people care about. The media says care about COVID. The media says care about Ukraine. It's pretty much just like Simon Says, pretty much, and what people post and think. Then we have, if somebody decides to loot a Gucci or a Nike, that makes you sure that person eats, make sure that person has clothes. That's reparations from the LP Mises call, because that kind of sounds like somebody said it was a BLM protester in summer 2020. I said that kind of sounds like a Reddit or Twitter, but in real life, and could have TikTok in there as well. I'm like, they're not really a real place. They're just kind of where people go to circles with their crazy opinions. The DNC plans no primary debates as though they are sure no other candidates, no other ideas we should discuss about ways to win in 2024, or other ideas we should discuss about ways to repair the country, from Marianne Williamson. I'm personally not too big on the whole on Marianne Williamson, but I do think, she's kind of getting screwed out. Her, RFK Jr., Joe Exotic, Jerome Seagal, and all the other Democratic candidates have cleared besides Biden, because, they have the right to debate, I think, but, they're just gonna kind of hand it to Biden. They're gonna put the states that are most favorable for Biden first, so he gains momentum, and then they're gonna just kind of give him the nomination. So, that's the thing. They say, the Democrats say, "Oh, we care about democracy." No, they really don't. They just care about whoever the current leader is, as long as he has the right narrative next to his name. And it looks like they're coming after her on TikTok too. They banned, I think, a few pro-Williamson TikTok accounts. Then we have Clarence Thomas's billionaire capitalist friend did have business before the Supreme Court. The justice was advised he didn't have to disclose luxury gifts from billionaire Harlan Crow because he did not have business before the Supreme Court, but in at least one case, Crow did, from Bloomberg. I think they're all corrupt. I think the every justices are just as corrupt, but, you're never going to hear about that, I guess. Because Clarence Thomas is kind of one of the boogeyman of on the right, so for the left on the right. So that's why you're probably hearing this right now. Trump was at a meeting where loyalists discussed plans to break into voting machines. Tea Party president, traitor to the Republic he swore to protect, from TalkingPointsMemo.com, or Best by Chi-Town. That was the previous post by Chi-Town too. And I personally think, I won't be surprised. I think both sides probably. I won't be surprised if Biden tried to do that too. There's elections are probably all rigged here. I think that's why we gotta go back to open ballot. I just think this secret ballot just has too many problems. Next, we have New York governor gauging support for ban on cigarette sales from Reason. I said, it feels like we were making progress with marijuana. We were just going backwards with cigarettes. I liked how they said, the article mentioned, like, Eric Garner was killed because he was selling loose cigarettes. I mean, it's important, prohibitions, after all, as the Reason article says, prohibitions, after all, enforced at gunpoint, they are enforced with force. And, that's the thing is, it's just, I don't think you should be smoking cigarettes, but I think you should be able to do whatever drugs you want as long as you're of age. If you're underage, I'm a bit more skeptical. Like, I don't know if you should be getting a lobotomy if you're underage, you're getting gender affirming care if you're underage, you're getting, like, heroin if you're underage, but I guess you have an argument there, too. So, I guess we'll see how that plays out. But, yeah, as long as you're underage, as long as you're overage, I think you should be taking any drug, including fentanyl. It could be deadly, but, it's your decision to make. It's your decision if you want to die or not, so that's your choice. I personally don't think you should die, but, that's your choice to make, I would say. Next, we have opinion gun idolatry is destroying the case for guns, from the New York Times. It's an archive of the New York Times by Clorox. And I said, I agree, gun idolatry can be annoying. It should be able to be practiced. The same is true for the left, and its equivalent idolatries like LGBTQ idolatry. Yeah. And then finally, we have Susan Rice set down as Biden's domestic policy chief from NBC News. And I said, she'll just be replaced by another generic neoliberal. And I think that's it for tonight. Let's see if there's anything else that came up. Nope. So that will be it for tonight. Clocking in at 23.5 minutes tonight. It's a relatively short episode. That was fun, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.